and welcome to my YouTube video. This week I'm going to talk about seeing your painting in terms of shapes and not detail and why this is important. Today we are going to paint this lovely Podenco, and I just quickly wanted to break this image down for you so you see it in the simplest way. When I'm choosing good reference photos, I'm looking at the image as purely shapes. So I have one very strong triangle in terms of the dog's head, and the body shape was a less strong triangle. But with a bit of manipulation, I sorted this out in the painting process. Before I show you the time-lapse video, I'm just going to show you how I prepared my canvas for painting. I've put a wash of raw sienna and terps onto my canvas and allowed it to dry before I begin. This will really help us in our light areas that are catching the strong sunlight around the dog's head. So let's paint then. It is really important to work on your painting as a whole, and I start by blocking in my shapes. Whether you work with layers, as I have in this painting here, or alla prima, you must always be looking at composition in terms of shape and the relationship of that shape to those around it. So each time then that you look at the shape that you are painting, you must also look at the adjacent shape around it. So your shape then has a five-fold relationship with every other shape on that canvas, but specifically to the one next to it. So these are, number one, value, or as we call it in the UK, tone. So what I mean by this is it lighter or is it darker than the shape next to it? Number two then, colour. Is it warmer or is it cooler than the one next to it? Is it more saturated in colour or is it less saturated in colour? Number three, size. Is it bigger or is it smaller than the shape next to it? Number four, what texture is it? How should I lay my paint to best describe this object? What brush should I use? Number five, what is the physical form of that shape? For example, is it a soft cushiony shape like fabric or velvet? Or is it a sharp shape like, for example, a holly leaf? You also need to consider how that shape fits into the overall geometry of your canvas. Where does it sit on your canvas in relation to everything else? Is it in the middle? Is it at the top? Is it at the bottom? So we are in essence really all painters of shape rather than landscape painters, portrait painters, or even animal painters. Every subject matter should be approached in the same way. So there is no real argument for saying, oh, well, I can't paint cats or I can't paint trees, as they are all in essence made up of shape. Furthermore, what you are ultimately trying to do with your painting is not produce an exact photographic reproduction of what it is, but try to translate the character and the essence of what you are looking at into your painting. So I always think the best artwork is something that makes me feel something. It sort of produces an emotional response in me. And just because a painting looks exactly like the object does not always mean it's going to capture the essence of that object. You need to focus on painting shapes and relationships rather than getting lost in too much detail, which is easy to do if you are using a reference photo. So what can I do then to help me not focus on too much detail? Well, a simple way to help you see shapes rather than detail is to try squinting at your object or even your reference photo. If you can't see the detail, leave it out. Squinting will really help you focus on obvious shapes and also obvious values. You can experiment too with the level that you squint. So for example, by squinting by say 80%, this will give you much less detail than say if you squint by 25%. Think about where you are on your painting's journey. If you are at the beginning of your painting, you will need to squint more than if you're at the end of your painting. And here it is, the finished painting. I hope that you've enjoyed my video today. I do try and post every week, so please like and subscribe to my channel if you can. Also, check out my website, sarahhallidayart.com, where you will find details of online courses that I run, as well as examples of my work. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.